I know you hear these days people talk about their awakening experience as something painful and chaotic. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be like that. True awakening itself isn't painful. The pain that they are talking about is the ego resisting the awakening. True awakening actually brings a deep and steady sense of peace. I know that through my direct experience. Then, what is true awakening really? Different traditions and spiritual masters have described awakening in different ways, but it all comes down to what Eckhart Tolle says, which makes the most sense to me. Awakening is realizing you are not the voice in your head. That's the core. It means you stop identifying with your old mental and emotional patterns that turn into a voice in your head and has been running your life and dictating who you are. When you awaken, you are not trapped in that voice anymore. You are not being played around by that voice like a puppet anymore. You are free. There is space between you and that voice. And in that space, you can find your true self. But before you realize you are not that voice, the question is, how have you been living before that? The answer to this question shows how the stage before awakening is going to feel like for you. It shows if you have to go through the dark night of the soul before your awakening or if you don't. If you have been completely identified with your body, with your personality, with your mental and emotional patterns, then the stage before awakening is going to feel like an earthquake that shakes you to your core. It shakes you so you would finally lose the identities that you have created over time to survive, to be loved and accepted, to feel safe. So it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. And the more you resist it, the worse it gets. It's like you suddenly lose your whole world and your whole sense of self. That's what some people call ego's death. You have probably heard stories of some successful actors or athletes that suddenly lost their ability to perform due to an injury or an illness. Like the movie Peaceful Warrior, where a gymnast has an accident and his whole identity collapses overnight. He literally can't do the one thing that he has built his whole sense of self around it. So sometimes life does that. It takes away the role, the ability, the very thing that you are holding on to. So you would finally let go of that identity. It's not easy, but it's part of the process if you have been so identified with who you thought you were. But if you have been somehow living close to the realm of being, close to the realm of your soul, then you are going to lose those identities still, but one by one and gradually. It's more like shedding than a collapse. That's why I really think that we need to become aware of the identities that we have built over time and let them go one by one instead of waiting until life suddenly takes them all away. Because then the stage before awakening is going to feel like very dark and heavy and endless and empty. It doesn't have to be like that. We don't have to go through the dark night of the soul. And in whatever way that your awakening happens, you have to integrate it into your day to day life. It's not like a certificate that you get and you are done. Awakening has different stages and it's a moment to moment process. But joy and peace are inseparable parts of this process. When you see yourself not being bothered by other people's opinions about you, not being constantly at fight with life, not being bothered with the chaos of the outside world, when you see yourself being the king or queen of your inner world, receiving endless synchronicities, signs, and guidance, having glimpses or steady flow of love into your heart that has been empty for a while, then you think it's all worth it.